Hello everyone, welcome to the Metagame with Adam and James.
Hello.
I'm going to go over some tournament results, some notable things. This is the first kind of series of events with the full Dragon's Maze Return to Ravnica limited block sealed event.
Standard,
stuff. Yeah.
everything.
So like
Yep.
this is the first stuff with all Dragon's Maze. So first up, we're going to get right into it with the SCG Open from Somerset.
Somerset, New Jersey.
Yeah. And essentially, we saw the best deck again. We saw Reanimator again.
Reanimator.
This time even better, because now it has
Sin Collector.
Sin Collector, and totally away from Lingering Souls, so now they have some Fiend Hunters. So it's really more on the slime plan. I actually like this version a lot. It feels like it interacts with decks that it had a hard time with. Now it makes it much easier matchups. Makes Jund a better matchup, makes Control a better matchup because it's running so many slimes, and Sin Collectors do a lot of work there too.
Yeah, Acidic Slime's proving to be like a really good card in this deck.
You can blink it a million times.
Yeah, and we keep bringing it back with barrel rates and everything. Like, it's so much versatility. You can hit whatever you need. You can mulch it, Grizzly Salvage it in your graveyard and just barrel rates it.
Yeah.
And like, it seems like the numbers of this card are just going up and up and up and up.
Yeah, it's pretty much like uniform now that you're playing 4 copies in 75.
Yeah. So yeah, Sin Collector was a new addition to that, and Chris Van Meter won this tournament.
Yep. Yeah, he's been on this deck for a while. Star City guy.
Yep. All right.
Oh, Voice of Resurgence was the other card of note to add to this deck.
Yeah.
Sideboard.
Still in the sideboard.
Still in the sideboard, but it's like very good in this deck just because it solves the aggro deck problem.
So it's just a dude. It's just a dude. Yeah.
Yep.
It's 1 more blocks. The most use of a $40 card I've ever heard of.
I know.
Just a shove block.
It's pretty good. And so then Star Cities did their first ever team sealed event.
That's the next day, Sunday.
Yeah. So they didn't do Legacy, but they did team sealed, and the team that won was like all-star team pretty much.
Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying.
So Reed Duke, Owen Turnwald, and William Jensen, all like big names.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say. The sealed tournament looked really cool, really interesting.
Yeah.
The gatekeepers are proving to be really awesome, really fun.
Yeah, if you get the gates to support them, they're pretty awesome.
Which you will in a sealed format.
Yeah. And the format's like much slower than Gate Crash sealed.
Yes.
It's like, so you have time to like kind of dirtle around and play a bunch of gates and.
Yeah, but stuff like Boros is like still playable and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
yeah. It's slowed down so that other strategies are more viable, but the aggro strategies are still perfectly viable. Anyway, moving on. We have Grand Prix Beijing.
Another sealed event.
Yep.
And not much to say on the sealed. It's like we were talking about before. It's slowed down, so you can play bigger and better things. Mm-hmm. And that was won by.
Yeah, I'll try and say the name. Thanks. Yeah, it was won by Quan Zhou. It's my best attempt.
Sounds good.
It looks right to me. That's why I'm pronouncing it that way. So good on him for winning a sealed GP.
Yeah, that's a lot of sealed to play at a GP. Yeah.
That's a lot of sealed. No, this wasn't a top 8 draft, was it?
I'm not 100% sure.
All right. Well, I'm not sure either. So if it is, awesome. If it's not, all right. Moving on, we also had GP Portland.
The GP Portland was modern, which is one of my favorites.
Yes, I love watching modern tournaments because they always seem like so new and interesting and like innovative, and like people come up with crazy decks for each one.
Yeah, and they're usually really interactive too. Like the games are like back and forth.
Yeah, very fun to watch.
It's ultimately won by Sam Pardee, right?
Yes, Sam Pardee
with Malira Pod, which just got way better because of Voice of Resurgence and Sin Collector.
Is it playing those cards? Is one voice in the sideboard and 2 in the main?
Yeah. Some lists don't play a Sin Collector, but I think it fits pretty nicely in the 75.
Yeah.
The reason this deck I think now is better than like the Kiki Pod, which I thought was better, but now with the Voice of Resurgence, it just gives you like another value guy to chain up with. So like he himself chains right into Kitcherfinks, and even the token itself chains into Viscera Seer. which is like, so both sides
true.
of your voice
Get you
get
combo
you
pieces.
a combo piece, which is like sick.
Yeah, that is really good.
So I think this is the best pod deck right now. I think if you want to play a pod deck, this is the one to play.
Definitely won the tournament, that's for sure.
It it put a lot of people in the top of the tournament too. Like a lot of people played it. But as with most modern tournaments, it's pretty diverse. It was actually a little bit different than most. A lot of the top 8 you see on modern are like 8 different decks or like 6 different decks. This one did have some repeats with Malaria Pod, Robots, Scape Shift.
It looks like there was 3 Malaria Pods in the deck.
Yeah.
2 Scape Shift decks, 2 Robots decks.
Yep.
Yeah. I still don't know how Robots is a deck. That deck's like...
It just has these crazy nut draws. It's like Naya Blitz, where it's just like, boop, you're dead.
It does, but it hasn't like gotten new cards for like so long.
No.
Like when all the other decks are like getting upgraded and
Doesn't need it.
and Robot's just like, yeah, I'm still playing my Mem Knights.
Hey, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, good on them. Well, hey, congratulations to Sam Pardee for winning that tournament. Modern tournaments to me are like becoming more and more premier. Like you need like higher and higher like skill to like win these tournaments.
It's like Legacy in that regard, where there's so many choices to make. It's not, like Standard is very much like a curve out format, where like, oh, you play year 2 and then year 3 and then year 4 and then
Yeah, but because like there's so like few modern tournaments and they're so like big all the time, like I feel like you need to like relearn the format every time you try to play in a big modern tournament.
Yeah, all right, I see where you're going there. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. The information is few and far between with modern.
Yes.
So it's more of like a wild frontier kind of thing. Like you kind of have to take a guess on the metagame.
Right.
You don't always have a firm read in terms of information.
Yeah.
But I kind of think that almost makes it fun at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If you knew it was going to be like, oh, it was going to be 55%, Jund, and this much percentage is like, it probably wouldn't be as interesting. But I mean, it'll, if it becomes a big enough format, we're going to see more and more like third party, like Star City, start doing modern every now and then.
Yeah. I definitely think they will start doing that eventually. There was no like Jund oriented decks.
There was the 4-color one, the Ajani Jund, or
in the top
Ajandi.
8? Was
not in the top 8.
Not in the top 8. Okay.
But some of the top 16, and there was some that were doing really well. Yeah, Ajundi is what they call it. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a 4-color Jund deck with Ajani Vengeance.
Right.
Which I think is a little ambitious, but it does a ton of powerful things.
Right. Ajani Vengeance is really good.
Yeah. I just like, if it was on the colors of Jund, I think the deck would be gross again. But just the fact that you actually have to splash a color just for them is, problematic, because there's decks that prey upon that in like with Fulminator Mage and Avalanche Riders. Like we actually saw our Living End deck actually do like really well in this tournament too, which hasn't been a deck in a while, and he was just crushing people with Living End.
Oh yeah.
Because I think people are like, oh, eggs is not really a thing. I'm gonna like cut my, my rest in pieces and stuff like that, and it was just like, oh, Living End, right through everybody.
Yeah, like a surgical knife.
So,
yep.
Not bad. We also saw a very burn-heavy American control deck.
I think I saw that one play.
Yeah, like a ton of burn. Like he was like Electrolyze, Bolt, Lightning Helix.
Yeah.
Just like burn people out. Like,
I like that.
It's kind of interesting. So you like no cryptics, no verdicts, no wraths. They're just all burn.
Yep. Anyway.
So, next up is the Star City Games in Charlotte.
Yep. The standard portion was won by Steve Kaufman with red-green aggro.
So this is basically the like Frog in a Blender style list, with just like Burning Tree Emissary into Boar, into Hellrider Rampager.
Still plays Reckoner though, which is like pretty crazy.
Searing Spear.
We did see a Pyrewild Shaman in that deck, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's some tech. I don't necessarily love that card.
I would have to like play with it to like
be
able to give an opinion on it, because it looks really slow and clunky.
It does.
But maybe it's not. We also saw Black Red Zombies that weekend.
Yeah, we were actually starting to see some uptick in zombies. I saw there was one there. There was another one at the tournament that I played in that was doing really well.
Yeah, this is actually like a pretty diverse top 8, including like new archetypes. Like Bant Hexproof kind of back with a vengeance. It's got some new cards and it's doing really well.
Courage makes that much better.
And we got Bant Flash, like a whole new archetype.
Yep.
Coming out of Advent of the Worm. The card is like really, really good.
Yeah, it's excellent. And it's excellent in that deck because it's like rewind into Advent. It's like, ooh, that's a problem.
That's really bad. Yeah. Still see Jund though, and like Jund is
Jenna's man.
Jen isn't going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
Jen is not going anywhere.
And I'm going to keep playing it.
Yep. Anyway, that following day, the Sunday, was sealed, right?
Yeah, this was single player sealed.
Sealed.
So they did team sealed one weekend, the next weekend they did regular sealed instead of legacy again.
Yeah. And this one was won by Joshua Snyder.
Yep.
So good on him.
Yeah, he was playing Bant.
That's the color combination that he managed to put together in his sealed pool.
One after that,
Nashville.
and so we had the exciting rare match of Reanimator for the finals.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Reanimator won.
Yeah, I did. Surprisingly. I actually kind of find the mirror matches interesting because it's almost like a, Esper on Esper control matchup. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
kind of.
It's like this, fighting for resources, and it's like, okay, who has slime? Oh, you have for slime first, but I have Death Red Shaman, so I'm gonna negate your
Yeah, to me that's what it seems like.
repeatable slime. So
To me that's what it seems like. Who slimes the hardest?
yeah, slime's like almost the most relevant card in that matchup. And it was ultimately won by Derek Roger or Roper.
Roper. Yep.
We also saw a bunch of Blitz in that top 8 because it has a good matchup against Reanimator, but ended up losing to Reanimator.
4-color control top 8.
Yeah, there's 4-color control deck. It's like Bant with red, right? Yeah.
Yeah, or like blue, white, red flash with green.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Whatever
yeah.
you want to. Yeah, there's a lot more green. Like
pretty ambitious spells when you see Plasm Capture and Assemble Legion and World Leader's Helix.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the Legion, a Plasma Capture does a lot to fix your mana if you can actually counter something with it.
Yeah, no, true. You can just mana drain into Assemble Legion.
Yeah. Straight up. Yep. Anyway, moving on. That weekend we also had
our first
Legacy tournament.
First Legacy in a while.
Yeah, jumping the gun a little bit here. It was won by. Was this the other one?
No, that was third place.
Oh yeah. As we were looking at it, it was won by Lauren Nolan with Esper Deathblade.
Yeah, he likes to play that deck still.
He does play that deck. It's a very good deck. It was an Esper Deathblade versus Esper Deathblade matchup.
That's funny too. This one weekend, both tournaments were mirror matches at the end.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. This is a really interesting topic for Legacy because we had a bunch of awesome roguish decks in the format. Esper Deathblade is pretty standard now, but then number 3 was No Ban.
Yeah.
And that's come out of left field. That's circa 3 years ago.
Even the blue-black Tezzeret list is.
Yeah, and blue-black Tezzeret came in 8th place, and one person who played that was Caleb Durward that one time, and he won.
He did.
The deck definitely had some powerful draws. Also, we had the Charlotte's Bog, which is
it's a deck.
It's a deck. It's known, but it's waxing and waning. But we had 2 Ad Nauseam Tendrils decks.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
It's a very powerful deck.
It's extremely powerful deck.
It just needs to hit the right stride sometimes, I guess.
It does. I still think it's arguably the best deck in Legacy. It's definitely top 3 easily, but you need to go hit the metagame at the right time.
Yeah.
You need to avoid some hate, and then it's extremely player dependent, and it's pretty draw dependent.
Yeah,
too.
we see Prozac.
He's been playing this almost strictly.
Yeah, he loves that deck, and he knows that deck in and out. So not surprising to see he was one of the pilots of that.
But yeah, so it was a really good Legacy top 8. I think it was a very healthy looking top 8.
Yeah. Yeah, always nice to see some refreshed.
Yeah, some old archetypes coming back out of nowhere.
And I am okay with Star City doing the sealed events, but I don't like them doing it in replacement of Legacy. I personally like having the Legacy.
Yeah, I do too, but I think some of the reasons first of all, they were just trying them out.
Yeah.
And they were trying to do them in areas where the Legacy tournament is really low.
Okay.
So you'd have a sub 200 person Legacy tournament. They're just we'll just do sealed instead, and they get 400 people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I would assume that if they go to a place that usually has a high Legacy turnout, they would never do sealed over Legacy.
Right.
Anyway, moving on.
So we get to the Pro Tour this past weekend.
Pro Tour Dragon's Maze, block constructed.
Yeah, so block constructed.
There was some
aka,
drafting in it as well.
Yeah. But the block was the main format.
Right.
And it's the format they use for the top 8.
This is a very important Pro Tour. It happens once a year.
Yeah, it basically determines the future of Standard.
Yes, it's a glimpse into the Standard future for next rotation, aka October. These are generally pretty telling of what the format's going to be, except the last one wasn't, because Blue White Miracles from TheEndStep block won.
Yeah.
And never really turned out to be a thing.
It was a deck like
Standard.
it was a deck like the first 2 weeks of that Standard.
It won the first Star City Open, and then they were all just like, "Speaks of Revelation, let's play that instead."
Yeah.
It's really funny how that card like took so long to take off. Anyway, the Pro Tour was won by Craig Wesco.
Yeah, Mr. White Weenie himself.
Playing
White Weenies, but with the green.
Green White Weenies. Yeah. Yep. Lots of interesting decks.
Yeah, we saw like a lot of control decks, like similar to like the Esper shells we see now, but you could see that in the future, like that shell kind of still works because you still have Supreme Verdict and Sphinx Revelation.
Yeah, and Jace is like all-star in like this format. Like everyone was playing 4 Jaces, 4 or none, and like he did a lot of work. I'm glad I have him in my playset. That's all I'm saying. I said he was gonna go up when rotation happens.
Yeah.
Another thing is Aetherling like really took off this weekend. Like it was all about the Aetherling.
Yeah, he was a finisher.
He was a finisher in like everything.
Hands down finisher of choice. I mean, like, anytime it was on the table, like, I didn't see an opponent. I didn't see the person controlling the Aetherling lose.
Right. He just wins the game.
I mean,
fast.
I saw a match in the top 8 where, like, the Aetherling was pithing needled, but he still won because it was still like a big beater.
Yeah,
it was just like, oh well, I can't do all kinds of cool things with it, but I'll still beat you down with it.
Yeah. Also, Far and Away was like far and away very popular card. Yeah, LSV made that pun multiple times.
Yeah. So both the split cards seem pretty good.
Yes.
Far and Away and Turn and Burn probably being the best two.
Another thing was Blood Baron.
Blood Baron, my boy.
He was everywhere, but he never like really won any games.
He did some work. He wasn't like, it wasn't as gross as Aetherling. Definitely not.
Right. I just think it's funny how like all these Esper decks, because there was lots of Esper control decks, had so many like varied threats. Like some had Angel Serenity, some didn't. Some had Obsidet, some didn't.
Yeah.
Some had Aetherling. Well, they all had Aetherling. Like that was the only,
he was like the one standard. Everybody else, like the other guys, were all kind of
right. And they also had like Aetherlings and Blood Barons. Like they had tons of different finishers, multiple big dudes, and like none of them were 4-ofs. They're all like 2 of this guy, 1 of that dude, 3 of this guy. So like they did a lot of testing to get to these kinds of numbers and these kinds of conclusions. And it's funny how like between Obsidet and a Blood Baron, like people still play Blood Barons.
Yep.
So like that, I guess that argument's like up in the air. I guess they're both like very playable. There's a lot to take away from this Pro Tour. Like you can spend a lot of time like analyzing all these deck lists and seeing where people are going. The thing that I'm happy about is it looks like our future standard is going to be pretty populated by control decks, but at the same point you can play all the other strategies.
Yeah, I mean, Boros was like tearing up the tournament.
Yeah, mono red decks were like very feared by like everybody. All the Esper players in interviews said like, oh yeah, mono red's like arguably our worst matchup unless I draw like a verdict. Yeah. And then it's like pretty good. But if I don't draw that verdict, I just lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like there was also like tons of Naya decks like under the cameras. I don't think any really.
No, none made top 8.
This one did.
Yeah, but he's not really a Naya deck.
Yeah, he's splashing.
The green is really just for Reckoner.
The green's Reckoner?
Yeah, it's because it's a land that casts Reckoner, and casts like Burning Trait Emissary.
Not sure what you're getting at.
Like, because you don't want to play more planes, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you need more white sources to cast, like Frontline Medic and Rest. And,
okay.
So like, not Reckoner, I'm sorry. But like, it's essentially like free white sources.
Right. You wanna keep your white sources high without playing planes.
Correct.
Yeah. Gotcha. It's funny that Tumble Garden actually like qualifies for that, even though like the green doesn't like.
No, the green does cast like Emissary though.
Yeah, but you can also you could do that
because you can't have like Mountain Plains Emissary, like you know what I mean. But you can have like Mountain Temple Garden.
Yeah.
Now you can cast Emissary.
Right.
I mean, I think obviously they tested the heck out of that deck, so like
Right, it works fine.
It was a flaw with the deck before, and their solution was Temple Garden.
Right. Even though there's like no green cards in the deck.
The one deck I thought is definitely worth talking about is like the crazy like one with the Gatekeeper Vines. Yeah, this one. So this guy is actually local to us. He's from Maine. And
oh yeah.
he's a judge actually.
Rob
And,
Castellan, yeah.
He like qualified like one of the last like PTQs.
He was like the Cinderella story of the tournament.
Yeah. Like they were covering the whole thing. He like won like 10-0, and then like got on the tailbait and like.
Yeah, this was like a mid-range deck.
Yeah, but his deck is like pretty much just like this pile of like awesome cards. I was just like, wow, this is totally a deck I would want to play.
Yeah, it's got like Deadbridge Chance.
Yeah, Deadbridge Chant, like Sire of Insanity, Voice.
Yeah.
Deck's sick. I mean,
Gatekeeper Vines has proven to be pretty good in block constructed, so we'll see if he like holds any value going into the standard format.
Especially in this deck where he was like 4 colors, I think. Everything but blue.
Right. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Almost Beast was also pretty
yeah,
good.
Almost Beast is pretty good. I think he's going to be playable after rotation, definitely. So yeah, so pretty cool decks. You know, looking forward to like the rotation. I think it's going to be
very, very fun.
Very different. You know, it'd be refreshing. Very
refreshing. Yeah. So yeah, that was there's a lot to take away from the Pro Tour. Like I recommend going to look at the coverage. All of the matches that were under camera you can watch. Like they're recorded.
Yeah,
there's VODs and everything. So I recommend watching all of them. A lot of good Magic was played. A lot of interesting decks. Check it out.
Yeah, you got to watch a lot more because I was busy top 16ing the Star City Games Classic that you didn't want to go to.
He's like, I top 16. My name's on the internet.
Hey, it is, and yours isn't.
It's a classic. Relax.
Whatever. I still made money.
Yeah, you did make a nice chunk of change.
All right. So I played Jund, in case you're wondering.
No one's wondering.
Jund's good. Play Jund.
Jund's good. Jund's good.
All right. So like the last 2 things we just want to touch on were like the beginning of the spoilers for M14.
Slivers.
So we get some slivers coming back. First off, the artwork sucks.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about.
A lot to be said about like the fact that they're changing like an established visual canon, I guess.
The hook, the scythe.
Yeah, like they're not the like alien things. Now they're like
predators,
which are still aliens, but like they're much more humanoid now. And they kind of adapt to like what they attach to. It almost.
I don't know that much about slivers. I hope like that they give some kind of like good lore reasons for why they look like this. I mean, there has to be.
So you know, people are mixed. Either you like slivers or you don't. I mean, we're not big fans.
No. Jay Van Lunen is.
Yeah, there's plenty of people. But cards I am excited about is definitely Scavenging Ooze. Nice to see him outside of Legacy. It was a fantastic card.
I'm a little worried to see what he's gonna do to Modern, but I don't think it's gonna be too bad. Because like Death Shaman's already a thing. Like,
yeah, Death Heart's already a thing, and it's not too broken. And I don't think there's gonna be too many decks that actually want both.
Yeah, I mean Death Shaman might just
it might
totally
be better.
Overshadow it.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're printing Scavenging Ooze, just because they like we already have Death Shaman. He's like, no one's gonna use Ooze over Shaman.
Yeah, most decks I don't think will.
They'll probably like one Ooze somewhere in someone's 75, and just like another piece for that same effect.
But in Standard, I think he's gonna be excellent.
Yeah, he's gonna be very good in Standard. For Jund.
For Jund, yeah.
For Jund.
Let's see what else is of note.
Modern Masters.
So Modern Masters is coming up very quickly, actually.
Very quickly.
Hopefully you took a loan out to get your box.
Yeah, put your house on mortgage. Put off the car payments for a couple months.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Get your box. Modern Masters. At this point, we do know Dark Confidant is in the set.
Yeah, so Dark Confidant's official. We have Goyf and we have
City of Brass and Aether Spellbound.
Yeah,
those are the 4 cards we know.
Yeah.
Spoilers start next week.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be a crazy money set, and I can see the justified like high pre-sale price on the boxes, but it seems a little drastic to me.
If you can find a box for like 180,
that's like a steal.
Buy it. Like if you have the money for it, like buy it.
Yeah.
Because most of the places are like 250s to 300s.
Yeah. 250 is like the minimum, and even on eBay, like eBay is like 230 minimum is what I've been looking at.
Yeah. So, if you can get one for sub 200, you're in the green.
And this is people before we even know, this is just basically essentially on 100% Goif and Dark Confidant.
Yeah.
Like, you know you're going to get all the good stuff, but nothing guaranteed.
I mean, you can say that's enough justification to assume that they'll print equally awesome cards compared to those two. Like,
yeah, I mean, safe guesses is like, Vidalian Click and,
Kitchen Finks.
Kitchen Finks is it has to be reprinted. Like,
Thoughtseize.
It's a $10 uncommon. Like, it's weird.
It's one of those where, like, if it had another print run, it would be like $3.
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah, it's only seen 2 print runs. It was an F&M and it was in Shadowmoor.
That was it. Yep.
That was it. And it's a staple in the format.
Yep. All in all, that's
probably gonna wrap it up for this episode of Metagame.
Yep. Sorry that these are a little like in between each other, but we need actual things to talk about.
So. Yeah, we really wanted to get the Pro Tour in because that was like the main event that really happened. The SCGs were kind of like reduced because of the sealed.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to add the Pro Tour to this particular episode.
And considering this is like a show about tournaments, we need tournaments to discuss.
Yeah.
So we can't like do like a once a week thing. We'll just talk about like one tournament.
Yeah. And like, again, those past ones would have been like just the standard open. And
right. Yeah. I mean, you can only say so much about sealed, but before you like actually teaching people how to play it.
Yeah. Play the good cards. That's how you play sealed.
Play the good cards. Sealed and limited in drafts are like one of those things you just have to practice. We really can't like tell you how to do it. Like just practice.
Yeah, it would be a video in and of itself to like break it down.
Yeah. But practice makes perfect in those formats, 100%.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out our real website, TheEndStep.com.
Yes.
Like us on Facebook. And hit us up if you see us at tournaments. See ya.
Bye-bye.